Hey there, guys. Alright, today we are back with some more History Matters, and this is Why Did China Invade India in 1962? Now I'm going to preface this like I have been all my previous videos thus far for the last, week now. This is probably going to be another lackluster reaction from me, and so I would point you in the direction of, really any of my videos that are like over 40 minutes long or any of the Trope Talk episodes. I'm pretty happy with like all of the Trope Talk episodes. I yap a lot in those. Um, so yeah, I just don't like YouTube doesn't really allow you to take a break from your schedules. Um, at least that's what all the YouTubers say. Don't take a break. YouTube will punish you for it in the algorithm, which I mean, YouTube already punishes me. It doesn't show me in the algorithm like at all. Well, once in a blue moon, they will. Um, so yeah. But searching for a job, can't find one. So this is the only source of income I have, so I can't miss a day of upload. Um, no matter how much I would like to. But anyways, enough yapping. Um, that's that. So let's go ahead and just get this question answered, Say.
After World War II, conflict between major nations became much rarer. Yet in 1962, a large scale land war broke out between the People's Republic of China and the Republic of India over these lands.
I'm curious, is this an event talked about like often in say India? I'm assuming it probably is talked about a lot in this conflict is talked about a lot in India. But man, is it not at all talked about here in America. Um, Even when we were doing Cold War era um history in like world history classes, didn't talk about this one. We would and I we would talk about I don't even think we would really talk about the 6 Day War with Israel and the Muslim world. I'm trying to remember. I'm really rough. uh Trying to remember that information and I just can't. It's been so long now.
And after the war, this bit was taken from India and became a part of China. But given how things were at the time with the Cold War and how unsure the outcome was, why did China invade India? So, as of the 1960s, the Indian Chinese border looked like this and was the result of careful consideration between the two peoples, and of course it wasn't. The border
Hmm.
had been drafted
Yeah.
by Britain in the early 20th century in an agreement with Tibetan China. And by agreement, I mean diktat, in which Britain declared the border between India and China to be this and that Tibet was now a Chinese puppet state. The Chinese refused to accept this, mostly because they hadn't been invited to the conference, but the British didn't care and considered it to be a done deal. Now, India gained its independence in 1947, and along with its freedom, it also gained a territorial dispute. One which was made worse when China annexed Tibet in 1951, and since it was one of India's most important trading partners, it soured relations. Tensions rose until 1954, when India and China came to an agreement in which they agreed to respect each other's territorial integrity and increase trade. This was up until 1960, when Tibet was host to a failed uprising, and the crackdown afterwards damaged India's ties in the region. The Indian Prime Minister, Jawaharlal Nehru, was critical of China's response and gave shelter to those fleeing the region. This angered the Chinese government, and its foreign minister Zhou Enlai pushed for a military response to do two things. One, take this territory, which was populated largely by Indians of Chinese descent, and two, dissuade India from supporting any Tibetan rebels in the future. As such, spies were sent into northern India to lay the groundwork for an invasion, and the Chinese built up infrastructure in the border regions and started to move soldiers there. The Indians, fearing an escalation, created the forward policy, which would build up their border defences and make India's claim to the land indisputable.
Welcome to India. Go away.
They also approached the Western powers for advanced weapons to defend themselves, a request that the West denied because India was seen as being too soft on communism. As such, the New Delhi government turned to the Soviet Union, who, having fallen out with China, was happy to make an ally and damage a former friend. In October 1962, after small-scale clashes between
Yeah, it's like it's this is one of those things where it's like, yeah, I wonder why they're softer on the communist powers. Brother, you just rejected their request for aid. Who are they going to now turn to? Like, it's simple logic. You know, maybe if you had helped India here, maybe they would have become harsher on communists, been a more steadfast ally against the spread of the red, you know, but no, you can go ahead and ignore them.
Between Indian and Chinese forces,
Yeah.
40,000 Chinese soldiers crossed into India here, which itself only had several thousand soldiers in the region. The Chinese leadership wanted a quick war because their military was both unsure as to how well India was prepared and also believed that they couldn't win a war of attrition. And launching an attack in October was useful too, since soon after the fighting began, the United States and the Soviet Union were too busy with a certain Cuban Missile Crisis to do anything about it. At first, China performed well and pushed into the area with ease, and Zhou Enlai pushed for peace negotiations, which Nehru rejected. And a month after Chinese forces had crossed into India, they had reached the edge of China's claim to territory, and so they declared a ceasefire, meaning that the war was effectively over. Because China didn't want to push its luck, and India wasn't in a position to respond. So, in the end, this war had many long-term effects. The loss pushed India to modernise its military and begin the development of nuclear weapons, and the snub by the West pushed it closer to the USSR. And Pakistan gained too when itself and China settled their own disputes over their common border, which in turn pulled Pakistan away from the West, since due to the increased trade they'd gotten more from Beijing than they ever had from Washington or London, which completely changed the balance of power in the region. I hope you enjoyed this episode.
And that was why China invaded India in 1962, a short animated documentary by History Matters. As always, they do a fantastic job. Like, it is really impressive just the sheer amount of information that they can fit into these 3-minute videos. I am so curious as to what their like script writing process is. Like, do they like how much time they spend per video, and like what exactly takes up the largest chunk of time when making a video? Is it the animation, drawing that takes up the most time, or is it the writing process for them? Well, writing research will dump writing and research into one. Um, they do such a great job. But yeah, that was this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Remember to hit that like button and subscribe for more. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.